The Rhode Island primaries are going to happen this coming Tuesday in 6 days, September 13th. So today is Thursday, September 8th. And so in 5 days, Rhode Island is going to vote for their lieutenant governor, treasurer, governor's race, U.S. representative, amongst a whole bunch of other positions. This video, I'm going to focus on the governor's race. And so you have 5 candidates. And I'm just going to focus on the Democrats. I'll mention the Republicans. You have Ashley Kalis and Jonathan Riccitelli. And Ashley Kalis for the Republicans. And you have one independent, Zachary Hurwitz. So Zachary Hurwitz and Ashley and Jonathan will have to face whoever the Democrats choose. Now, you have the current governor, Dan McKee, but he just got appointed, so he's only been in there for 1 year. Now, Dan McKee seems mature and seems like he can govern with a nice, conservative, steady hand. And a lot of people are saying it's basically between Governor Dan McKee and this Gorbea, Nellie Gorbea. Apparently, she may be the first Hispanic woman to become the governor of Rhode Island. Now, here's a couple of facts about Rhode Island. Rhode Island is a small state. The smallest state in size, land area, covers an area of 1,214 square miles. Its distance from north to south is 48 miles. East to west is 37 miles. Rhode Island was the last of the original 13 colonies to become a state. Rhode Island shares a state water border with New York. You have, Rhode Island never ratified the 18th Amendment prohibition. Judge Darius Baker imposed the first jail sentence for speeding in an automobile. 1904 Newport Polo was played for the first time in the United States in 1876 near Newport. I guess that's Newport, Rhode Island, because there's a Newport, Kentucky, too, right next to Cincinnati. Rhode Island was home to the first National Lawn Tennis Championship, the precursor to the U.S. Open in 1881. It was held at the Newport Casino. St. Mary's, Rhode Island's oldest Roman Catholic. Okay, goodness gracious. The churches, they married JFK. Okay, why didn't you say that to begin with? And Jacqueline Bouvier, 1953. Golf. Rhode Island has no county government. It's divided into 39 municipalities, each having its own form of local government. Those 39 municipalities are basically counties. What they call it something different. That's not a county, it's a municipality. Your county is a municipality? Yes. So you don't want me to call it a county? No. I want to have 4 more syllables on top of it. The Flying Horse Carousel is the nation's oldest carousel. It's located in the resort town of Watch Hill. So basically nothing is really going on in Rhode Island. There's probably more things going on in Alaska, in Montana, and Arizona combined than Rhode Island. So you have 5 candidates when it comes to the Democrats. Let's take a look at my favorite candidate. This guy is absolutely remarkable. This is Dr. Munoz, Dr. Louis Daniel Munoz. So he's a Democrat. He's not a throwaway protest vote, not a Green Party libertarian, right? And where's the ranked choice voting? I don't see, not even Maine. Maine don't even have their ranked choice voting. So when it comes just real quick to compare and contrast, yeah, you got 5 Democrats and you got 2 Republicans, right? But you only got really, 2, 3 political parties. Compare and contrast Bahia. You got Bahia in Brazil. This is the 4th largest state in Brazil, population 15 million. So Bahia is 15. You only got just above 1 million people in Rhode Island, but you got 15 million in Bahia. So you got 15 times as many people. So Bahia is 15 times bigger than Rhode Island. And you have 6 different political parties. You got Brazil Union Party, the Workers' Party. You also got a Socialist and Liberty Party, and a Liberal Party, and a Workers' Cause Party. Isn't that nice? Workers' Cause. And then you got the Brazilian Communist Party, Giovanni D'Amico. So Giovanni D'Amico wants to become the governor of Bahia, a governor of 15 million, as a communist. So they got communists, they got socialists, they got liberals, they got Workers' Party, and they got a Workers' Cause Party, and they got the Brazil Union. They got 6 political parties that their election is going to happen October 2nd. So Rhode Island's going to have their election in 6 days, and then you're going to have Bahia have their election in just a couple weeks after that. So 3 weeks from now, 1 week, and then 3 weeks from now. So it's just interesting. You got 6 political parties versus what? You got 1 independent. You got 2 running for Republicans, 5 running for a Democrat, and 1 independent. So really you got 2 political parties and then 1 asshole. 2 political parties and 1 asshole versus 6 political parties. It seems like Brazil's taking their democracy much more serious than Rhode Island is. But without further ado, this is Dr. Louis Daniel. If I was in Rhode Island, I would vote for this guy enthusiastically. He's strong, he's stern, and the fact that Rhode Island, you only got 1 million people. You don't have a big pool of, if you find a fucking superb, intelligent, passionate person that gives a damn, you go ahead and you elect that person governor.
Munoz, to be careful with the sinkholes in Florida. It's time to tax the rich in the state of Rhode Island. It's time to understand that the federal government, that's a cop-out, is never going to do that. We need to take a stand here in the state of Rhode Island. Governor Raimundo created a pass-through company tax credit that the rich are leveraging to get deductions on the federal income tax. We need to make sure that we combat that loophole that the rich have and get some of that $144 million back annually that can help us support affordable housing. The Secretary of State said that she helps businesses. Well, when the minority and woman-owned business contract requirements were waived by Governor Raimundo, she did not stand up or do anything. We have people at this stage that continue to say that they're fighting for Rhode Islanders, and they're fighting for themselves. And that's the problem with career politicians. They always fight for themselves. CVS is still a perpetrator of high-cost health care.
Let's come back to some more Munoz. I just want to spit out some facts. We found out they were all okay. The Rhode Island Democrats for governor, they were okay with banning assault rifles, banning AR-15s. Every single one of them. They were split on marijuana, so you have to see where they stood on marijuana. $5.5 billion. They had pop quiz questions. How big is the budget of Rhode Island? Do you even know how big the budget is? And it's just over $5 billion. And I think they asked Dan McKee the first question, the 76th governor. He's been in there for 1-2 years. He got appointed. And Nellie Gorbea apparently is his biggest challenger. But it's not just Nellie Gorbea and Dan McKee. Like I said, you also got that Louis Daniel Munoz. So vote for Munoz, Rhode Island. You have Nellie Gorbea. You also have Helena Fortes. Helena, the CBS CEO. An ex-CEO or something of CVS, the drugstore. She said she got cigarettes out of the drugstores. And then Sept Magaziner had withdrawn. And then I think you got one more person, right? There's 5 people, right? Nellie, Munoz, Helena, Dan McKee. That's 4. There was 5. Not for sure. The other person is clearly not making any traction at all. Oh yeah, the guy, fucking like Jim Fox or Tim Smith or something, and good old Matt Brown. Okay, so you had Matt Brown, and Matt Brown says some interesting things. He's for a Green New Deal and some other things, but I like Munoz. And so those are the 5. Nellie Gorbea, Helena something, Fuertes, Helena Futon, and then Louis Daniel Munoz, Matt Brown, and Dan McKee. Apparently he's the current incumbent. He's got more chutzpah than the lieutenant governor. The lieutenant governor showed up for one debate and then skipped the other debate. Dan McKee is going to all these debates, which says something about him. You got 36 governors debates in America. You got 26 governors or races in Brazil. Now, let's see. Let's carry on with Louis Munoz, who is kicking ass and taking names.
The governor's dismantled testing sites currently. He did not handle the vaccine equity issue correctly. We organized that in the community. We drove those clinics. And at the end of the day, Matt Brown wasn't there. Helena folks was, thinking about running for governor and setting back on these minute clinic CVS models that did not work for the pandemic for us. And we're going into the fall where we continue to face a pandemic. I am the right candidate for the right office at the right time.
5 minutes till closing statements. And 1% what, Nelly?
It doesn't fund small businesses here. Micro businesses need exemptions on the tangible property tax. It's 1.4% in Newport, 5.5% in Providence. Poor people in the state of Rhode Island cannot get out of poverty because when they start businesses, they are taxed out of business.
And by the way,
those are the businesses
I'm going to jump in on small. On the stage, you obviously don't know how to get it done. I do, and it's going to be a good
because
project.
of the communities that I come from are the ones that suffer from bad deals like that one. Like 38 Studios 2, which Helena folks was actually in line of giving them more money. And the governor at this point in time in terms of the soccer stadium now fails to acknowledge that when you front money, when you promise the money up front, right, the project becomes too big to fail. It becomes too big to fail, and it's going to land on Pawtucket kids' heads.
Okay, Governor, he's entitled to answers. Folks, please, just want to...
We'll come back to some more of Mr. Munoz. Fucking goddamn Louis Munoz is kicking ass and taking names, and you know what? There's some pathetic schools in Rhode Island, some pathetic public schools. There was some proficiency standard, something, middle school, something. Their kids, only 20% had proficient math, and only 33% had proficient reading. 1 out of 3 can read, 1 out of 3 can read, and 1 out of 5 can do their math. That's ridiculous. 1 out of 5 can do math, so don't ask them to do ranked choice voting. They're going to be like Sarah Palin when it comes to ranked choice voting. They won't know how to count to 1, 2, 3, 4. Rank 4 candidates? I don't know how to do that. That is beyond the scope. That is beyond the pale. That is beyond my comprehension. Rank 4 candidates in a row? I can't do that. You can't do that. Okay, here. Louis Daniel Munoz, number 1. Matt Brown, number 2. Nelly Gorbea, number 3. Dan McKee, number 4. And then Helena Fukuyamu, number 5. There, just fucking did it. That was too hard, goddamn Sarah Palin. But those are embarrassing numbers. Even if in Kentucky they would test 4th, 8th, and then 12th grade or something like that. So if these are 4th grade numbers, that's all you should, for the 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic. Once you get to 4th grade, you better know how to read and know how to write and know how to do arithmetic. 4th grade, and then that's it. Then graduate them and then start doing electives after that. Go to Boy Scouts, raise an acre of corn, and start comparing and contrast grains and other things. So Miss Gorbea, apparently, she considers herself the housing candidate. Nelly Gorbea, she's going to be the first Hispanic woman governor of Rhode Island. She had said the median amount of the median amount of the housing is 410,000. So I like the pop-up quizzes. What's the budget? What's the budget of Rhode Island? Just over $5 billion. What's the median housing cost in Rhode Island? $400,000. How many kids know how to do math? Just 1 out of 5 in Rhode Island. How many know how to read? Just 1 out of 3 or they're proficient. Just 1 out of 3 are proficient. So that's pretty embarrassing. That is pretty embarrassing. I think Jim Carrey could probably do a better job than all that. Let's carry on with some Munoz. Louis Daniel Munoz. Munoz for governor.
We got a bell here. Yeah, they really don't understand budgets, and if they did, they would know it'd be lower next year. Dr. Munoz,
Let's talk about budgets. $65 million for 514 full-time employees in DOH, $126 million for private companies. Public dollars siphoned off by private companies. Let's talk about the Department of Corrections, $277 million. Public safety, $168, but public defenders, $14 million. That's a value statement. You know, we need to make sure that we're taking money out of corporations' pockets and putting it in Rhode Islanders' pockets to the services that can support healthcare, housing, and our criminal justice system, which is failing our kids.
Dr. Munoz, 13.6.
There's been pandering on this stage about giving the school system back to Providence. No one talked about the education funding formula.
Who's pandering?
Matt is pandering.
A few months.
Matt is pandering. The education funding formula is the most inequitable thing that we have, which is putting our school systems behind.
Okay.
And the fact that it wasn't mentioned shows you that he won't fight.
We have a lot of topics to get to.
I'm the one who just said I would raise taxes on the rich and fund our
Yeah, and I said I'd raise taxes too, and I also said that I would transform the education funding formula because that is what's keeping students behind.
we took that business under my leadership from burning $1 billion a year in cash to cash flow neutral. That's exactly the kind of
Can we
leadership
start promoting
this nation
CBS? So it took cigarettes off the shelves and pushed pills on the streets. It took cigarettes off the shelves and pushed pills on the streets. CVS is not an organization that we want to model in the state of Rhode Island. It is not. A multi-billion-dollar budget's fine, but the values that drive the allocation of resources is far more important. And this discussion about values and numbers.
All right, it's fair. Our final closer is from Dr. Munoz. Look right at the camera.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Matt Brown took almost $10,000 from the Kidd family that has $69 million invested in Hess Corp. Just mind you that. I grew up in Central Falls. I experienced homelessness. I'm a medical doctor in this race in a time where we're facing a pandemic still. We need a free healthcare system. We need mixed, low-income, subsidized, and affordable housing. We need an equitable education funding formula. These things will not happen without political courage. I'll end my time with a story of Ellison Tarzan Brown, a person who ran barefoot until he won the marathon, Narragansett Indian tribal member. He died having sold every trophy for food because this state forgets about the working and the working poor. But when he climbed that mountain, they say a man rose up and an Indian nation descended. On September 13th, let the people vote Munoz and let's descend in victory for Gorbea, Rhode Island.
Thank you.
He killed that, and it didn't look like he was invited to any other subsequent debates after that had happened. Just some general notes I was taking while I was listening to this. Don't want to turn their backs on Paul Tuckett. There's a big thing about a soccer stadium, $60 million for a soccer stadium, and then they're kind of saying that it's a Tidewater project because there's the things on the, you got the soccer stadium, but then you got the businesses in this apartment complex. You had apparently more than a third of the FBI investigations turn into an indictment. Dan McKee is under FBI investigation. It was a big point by Matt Brown. He's the former Secretary of State. Dr. Munoz was just a badass. He was a fucking badass. When it comes to Helena, she did run CVS, so she had 200,000 employees and a $60 billion budget. So that Helene Fukuyama knows a thing or two about a thing or two, and she probably should speak up a lot louder than what she has just on the debate stage. It looks like Dan McKee, all eyes on the governor, all eyes on Dan McKee. Munoz, he kind of took the ball and ran with it. Nellie Gorbea did a pretty good job. Helena and Matt Brown, I don't think they really distinguished themselves. I don't think that they, you got nice, you're poised and confident, you got ideas. In fact, I like Matt Brown is for Medicare for all and a Green New Deal. So I like Matt Brown. I like his politics. I'm, a progressive, similar to him. So he'd probably be my number 2 if I was doing ranked choice voting. But in Rhode Island, you only got one choice. So I'm going to go with Louis Munoz. That would be very smart. You have Dan McKee saying that it was unprofessional. I love your Roger Williams, Rhode Island. I love your Roger Williams. I can't believe you got a county named Narragansett, you sons of bitches. You think just by naming the area after the natives that you killed is going to make up for everything that you colonizing, genociding, occupying? Sons of. Hire more minority teachers. This is Munoz talking about how you need to reduce the barriers to entry, more equitable. He's talking about arrogance of power. They got arrogance of power. I love your Roger Williams. Hey, Rhode Island, I love your Roger Williams. Fucking love Providence. You guys are there in Providence. Beautiful name. Well, you don't want to go against Providence, do you? You're up against Providence? Well, you probably should just concede. Is that what you're... Apparently somebody donated some money to Mitch McConnell. I want to say that it was at CVS, Helena, and she got hammered for that. So that's interesting. In Rhode Island, if you donate any money to Kentucky loves Mitch McConnell, been reelecting him for 875 years. But if you donate $1 to Mitch McConnell, you won't get elected governor in Rhode Island. So it's good that some other states actually have a conscience. That's nice. Dr. Munoz says he experienced homelessness. He's got political courage. He's going to be like that Narragansett tribal person, ran barefoot, whatever. So let's see here. The COLA, you're supposed to do the pensions 80%. You got to finance them by 80%. Low-hanging fruit. I don't even know what the hell they're talking about with low-hanging fruit. The Paul Tuckett soccer stadium. Soccer is international, but basketball and football would have been way better. But it's more that Tidewater. It's all those housing projects and shit off to the side. And the governor's going to stick with it and try to see it through. Seth Magaziner was running for governor, but now he's running for the representative, so he withdrew to run for the U.S. House. Luis Munoz is Dr. Munoz. He's a doctor now. He wants to raise minimum wage up to $25 an hour. He wants to repeal the Law Enforcement Bill of Rights. That's Dr. Munoz. Matt Brown was killing it for a minute. In part 2, minute 24. 38 minutes in, Munoz was killing it. Munoz wants $25 an hour, repeal the Law Enforcement Bill of Rights. The other ones wanted reform. Matt Brown wanted to repeal because it was like, we already got a constitution. Why does the law enforcement need their own Bill of Rights on top of the constitutional? And then you also got the state constitution, right? Joe Chamberlain, FDR, John Lewis, they're asked about who their favorite. Robert Kennedy. Dr. Munoz, his favorite politician was, he said, the last 90 days of Robert Kennedy. California has a governor's race right now. You got 36 governor's races. You have 28 Republican governors and 22 Democrat governors. You got more Republican governors than Democrat governors in America. September 7th, 2022, you had a rebirth. Paul Tuckett. What am I trying to say here? I need some Native American Hunk Papa Teton. Gall the Hunk Papa Teton. So that's just some information there about the Rhode Island governor's race. Like I said, there's a treasurer's race, which it seemed like they asked a lot of hard economic questions to the treasurer, but not to the governor's people. And actually, I got more. It's Helen Folkes. I got more. Should I do part 2? Matt Brown, Helen. Some of them want to tax the rich. Nellie kind of raised her hand, but only Dan McKee had no hand when it comes to taxing the rich. When it comes to GDP growth, Rhode Island is 49th. So when it comes to economics, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. 49th in GDP growth, that's pretty abysmal when it comes to economics. Helena says she's going to have a team in place. She had 200,000 employees. She ran an $80 billion budget. CVS, that's the biggest thing with her. Dan McKee is going to bring electric vehicles. He's going to get the state ready for electric vehicles. You need an alternative transportation plan. Of course, you need bridges and roads, but you're going to need charging stations for your electric cars. Dr. Munoz had talked about closing some loophole for the rich people, had some loophole. Nellie wants to raise the corporate tax. Dr. Munoz says that poor people can't start their own businesses because they keep on getting taxed out. The debate happened at Johnson and Wales University. Nellie Gorbea, I like how Nellie Gorbea talked. She was always like matter of fact. She talking about how we've relied on fossil fuels for too long. She's going to keep the truck tolls. Dan McKee is going to keep the truck tolls. Apparently, they got the lowest unemployment and the fastest recovery in the nation, so that's pretty good. They have terrible GDP growth, but they got low unemployment and the fastest recovery in the nation. Some reason Jackson Hinkle had lumped CIA and FBI and IRS along with Antifa, which is insane. So no longer against fascist, huh? No longer against fascist. That is an interesting trajectory. Fought for Hillary, and then was a communist, and now is a Dan McKee lives with his mother. He's got some kind of accent, like a Bronx accent. Nellie Gorbea's got some kind of accent, too. Dan McKee protected the right to choose, and he done so much more. Nevada, they got a governor's race. Lombardo is trying to take the guy's chair. And that's it. That's it with the Rhode Island fucking shit.